They should have known from the way she moved, not with fear, not with hesitation, but like a storm calm on the outside, deadly just beneath the surface. Jasmine Daniels didn't come to Lincoln High to be noticed. She came to survive it. It was her second day at the new school, and already the walls were closing in. Hallway B was buzzing with the usual chaos of changing periods, squeaking sneakers, locker doors slamming, the low roar of teen laughter and gossip. She walked in the middle of it all, alone, hoodie pulled tight, eyes lowered, earbuds in. The world had a way of leaving girls like her on the margins, black, quiet, different, and Jasmine had no intention of making waves. Not again, not here. But silence, in a place like Lincoln High, was dangerous. To the wrong people, it looked like. Weakness. Yo, who's the new mute chick? Someone muttered behind her. Jasmine heard it, even over her music. She always heard everything. Another voice chimed in sharper, smug. Bet she doesn't even speak English. She just walks around like a ghost. She kept walking, steady pace, head high, but not defiant. Her fingers tightened slightly around her backpack strap, the only sign that she had registered the comment. She knew the routine, new girl, new target. They wanted a reaction. That's how it always started. Her father taught her better, control. He used to say, a warrior's greatest weapon is control. Not fists, not fear. Control. Back in Georgia, she had control, a dojo, a father, a life that made sense until the accident. Until she had to move in with her aunt up north, in a place where the air smelled different and the stairs lasted a little too long. No one here knew who she was, and she preferred to keep it that way. But there was something about Lincoln High that reminded her of cracked sidewalks and cold fights. The kind of school where power belonged to the loudest, meanest mouths, and Jasmine, by default, had just stepped on sacred turf. As she turned the corner past the science wing, the crowd shifted. 3 girls leaned against lockers, watching her. Like hawks, one of them tall, blonde, chewing gum like it was the world's last piece, stepped forward with a smirk. "Hey!" the girl called out, voice sharp with fake friendliness. Jasmine paused, just long enough to register the tone. She slowly removed one earbud. "Yeah?" she said, her voice low and even. "You new here, right?" The girl asked, tilting her head. "Didn't catch your name yesterday, or today?" Jasmine didn't answer right away. She studied the girls. Eyes calculating, confrontational. She'd seen that look before. Bullies didn't wear uniforms or carry weapons. They wore grins, fake questions. And always moved in packs. "Jasmine," she said calmly. "Well, Jasmine," the girl said, stepping in closer, "just a little tip. We don't do the whole too cool to talk to people thing around here. That might work wherever you came from, but here? It makes you look soft." Jasmine blinked slowly. "Thanks for the tip," she said flatly. She turned to leave, but another girl blocked her path, arms crossed, eyes daring. "You gonna walk away?" she mocked. "Already?" The tall blonde leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper. "You might want to stop walking like you're better than us, because no one here's scared of you, sweetheart." Jasmine looked her dead in the eye for the first time. "I'm not better than anyone," she said, "but you're making a mistake thinking, I'm afraid." The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was tight, like a spring being compressed. Everyone in the hallway sensed it, something unsaid, coiled, ready to snap. But then the bell rang. A flood of students surged forward. The blonde girl backed off with a sneer and a final glance. "Whatever," she muttered. "You'll learn, Jasmine." Put her earbud back in and walked away. But in that brief moment, something shifted. The whispers started by lunch. She squared up with Maddie. "Are you serious?" "Nah, bro," she just stood there, cold, like she didn't care what was gonna happen. "I heard she's got a record. Fought some girl at her last school and broke her nose." "Yeah, right. She looks like she weighs 90 pounds. Jasmine ignored it all. She ate lunch outside, under the bleachers, where no one came, where it was quiet enough to think. She didn't come here to fight, but she would if she had to. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. "You don't start fights, baby. But if they back you into a corner, you end them." She closed her eyes and breathed in the cool autumn air. It smelled like wet leaves and trouble. She could feel it coming. Lincoln High had no idea what kind of storm they had just stepped into. They didn't come to scare her. They came to break her. By third period break. The whispers had evolved into something thicker like smoke crawling under a locked door. Jasmine could feel it in the hallways, in the way people stared at her longer. Lingered near her locker, whispered into each other's ears the moment she walked past. Something was brewing, and Jasmine had seen this pattern before. When a group can't control your mind, they try to control your body. And if they can't control that, they try to destroy your peace. The moment it began, she knew it wasn't random. She had taken the long hallway near the art rooms, planning to use the back restroom where it was quieter, the one near the janitors. Supply closet. No teachers, no cameras, just cracked tiles and flickering fluorescent lights. A place where things could happen and no one would know until it was too late. She pushed open the bathroom door and the instant it clicked shut behind her. She froze. 3 figures were already inside. They stood like shadows waiting. Maddie, the tall blonde from yesterday, was front and center, arms folded, her back leaned casually against the sink as if this were her living room. Beside her stood 2 others. Jasmine recognized them vaguely. Leah and Tiff Cheer Squad, always in tight groups, always laughing just a bit too loudly when someone tripped or got humiliated. "Look who showed up," Maddie said, voice echoing against the cracked tiles. Little Miss no eye contact. Jasmine didn't flinch. She simply stepped further in, glanced briefly at each face, and then turned toward the mirror to wash her hands. That annoyed them. "Hey," Leah barked. "We're talking to you, Jasmine." Calmly turned the faucet, watching the water rush over her hands. "I didn't ask anyone to." "Oh," Maddie said with mock surprise. "She speaks, so you're not just some mute freak." Jasmine dried her hands slowly, keeping her movements precise and deliberate. Her father always taught her to stay centered, to breathe, even when provoked, especially when provoked. "You want something?" she asked, voice flat. Maddie stepped forward, her grin sharpening. "Yeah, actually, I want you to know how things work around here. You don't walk around like you own the place. You don't ignore people when they're trying to be nice." "That wasn't nice," Jasmine said, and just like that, the temperature in the room dropped. Tiff moved to block the door. Leah cracked her knuckles and rolled her neck like she'd done this before. "You need to be taught some respect," Maddie growled, stepping closer. Jasmine's eyes flicked upward, calm, measured. "No," she said softly. "You need to be taught boundaries." Maddie shoved her. It wasn't hard, more of a warning than an attack. A testing of waters. Jasmine barely stepped back. Her body shifted, her stance subtle, weight balanced, eyes locked, breath slow. "You think you're better than us, huh?" Leah sneered. "No," Jasmine replied. "I think you're making a mistake." Tiff laughed. "What are you gonna do? Meditate us into submission?" That's when Leah reached out. She grabbed Jasmine's wrist. It was instinct, training, muscle memory, a sharp pivot, a swift step inward. Jasmine used Leah's momentum against her, spinning her arm around and twisting her elbow with just enough force to drop her to her knees, but not enough to break anything. Yet, Maddie's eyes went wide. What the she lunged, but Jasmine was already moving. She sidestepped, sweeping Maddie's foot out from under her, guiding her down face first in a fluid motion that ended with the older girl sprawled on the bathroom floor, gasping from the impact. Tiff blinked, took one step back, and Jasmine turned toward her. There was no anger in her face, no smugness, just that same calm. Tiff froze. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. "I don't want to hurt anyone," Jasmine said, "but I will protect myself." Maddie groaned, rolling onto her back, her elbow scuffed, face flushed with rage and humiliation. "You're crazy. You're freaking insane." Jasmine picked up her backpack, slid it over one shoulder, and looked down at her. "No," she replied. "I'm trained." She turned and walked toward the door. Tiff moved aside wordlessly. The silence in the restroom was heavy. Not from fear, at least not entirely. It was as Jasmine walked down the hallway, back straight and pace steady. She knew the whispers would return. Louder this time, faster. She hadn't wanted this, but she wasn't sorry, either. In her father's Dojo, every lesson ended with a bow and a phrase she never forgot. True strength is quiet. It waits until it must act. She didn't need applause. She didn't need revenge. All Jasmine Daniels needed was her peace. But if someone came to break it, she knew exactly how to end it. They thought the bathroom walls would keep it a secret, but Lincoln High had eyes everywhere. By noon, the school wasn't whispering anymore. It was buzzing electric, loud, chaotic, like someone had plugged 1,000 volts into the student body and let the rumor mill explode. Every hallway, every lunch table, every group chat had one topic, one clip. 7 seconds long, low resolution, shaky, but unmistakable. The video started with a bathroom door creaking open. It showed Jasmine walking in, unaware, at least it seemed that way. 3 girls inside, voices muffled, gestures animated. And then, it happened. Leah reached out, grabbed her wrist. What followed didn't look real. Jasmine's body twisted, her movement fast but smooth like silk snapping in the air. One girl dropped to the ground. Another lunged and landed on her back with a thud. The third backed away and froze as Jasmine picked up her backpack, slung it over one shoulder, and calmly walked out. The hallway erupted when the first few kids saw it. Yo, did you see her flip, Maddie? She moved like a movie ninja, I swear, bro. She didn't even blink. By the time third lunch period rolled around, the clip had already been airdropped to over 200 phones. It made its way into group chats, Instagram stories, and even the Lincoln High Snap Map. No one knew who filmed it, but someone, probably hiding in a stall, had hit record when it all went down. Maddie, Leah, and Tiff didn't show up for class that day, but Jasmine did. She sat in the corner of the cafeteria, earbuds in, hoodie up, slowly chewing through a granola bar and apple slices like the world wasn't turning upside down around her. But she felt it, eyes everywhere. They weren't. The mocking, suspicious stares she'd gotten yesterday. These were wide, hesitant, curious, like she was a creature someone had misjudged, tamed at a glance, but wild underneath. Near the lunch monitors, Mr. Cross, gym teacher and ex-Marine, leaned over someone's phone as a student whispered, "You gotta see this." He watched the clip without blinking, then played it again and again. Where did she learn that? The student asked. Mr. Cross exhaled slowly. "That's not random," he said. "That's Shotokan, traditional Japanese karate. How can you tell?" Stance, precision. She's trained years, not weeks. Across the room, Jasmine caught Mr. Cross watching her. He gave a slow nod. She didn't return it. But she didn't look away either. Word had reached the teachers now. By fourth period, she was summoned to the front office. She walked in calmly, as always. The secretary, a silver-haired woman named Miss Ray, offered a tight smile and motioned toward the chairs outside Principal Turner's office. "He'll be with you in a moment," she said. Jasmine sat, hands folded in her lap. She could hear muffled voices behind the closed door. "We don't have a written complaint. Still, it's a serious situation. There's a video circulating. Have you seen it?" Jasmine exhaled slowly. She had already expected this. The door opened. Principal Turner, a broad man in a gray suit and tired eyes, stepped out. "Jasmine, come in." She entered the office, the air thick with that strange mix of lemon cleaner and quiet judgment. Inside was another figure, Miss Ward, the school counselor, and beside her, Mr. Cross. "Have a seat," the principal said. She sat. Principal Turner tapped his fingers on the desk. "We've received a lot of reports today. I figured," Jasmine said evenly. "There's a video going around. Shows you defending yourself, very effectively, against 3 other students in the bathroom. They cornered me," she replied. "I asked them to stop. They didn't. You didn't throw the first hit. No, you didn't escalate." "I ended it," she said, meeting his gaze. Principal Turner leaned back. "Do you know what your actions look like from the outside?" Jasmine didn't answer. Mr. Cross spoke up then, his voice calm but firm. "I watched the footage. She's trained. That wasn't aggression. That was control. Every movement had intent. She used enough force to stop them," the counselor added. "Nothing excessive. No injuries reported. Just bruised egos." Principal Turner sighed. No formal complaints have been filed. None of the girls have come in, and frankly, I think they're too embarrassed. Still, this is going to follow you. You're the new girl. Your name's out there now. Jasmine nodded once. I understand. But, he added, leaning forward, I also believe in second chances, and truthfully. Some students could learn from you, not just how to defend themselves, but how to stay calm when everything around them is trying to make them snap. The words hung in the air. Would you be willing, the counselor asked gently, to help us run a self-defense seminar? Just once a week, voluntary. You wouldn't have to teach anything serious, just presence, confidence, boundaries. Jasmine blinked. Teach. That wasn't part of the plan, but she could already see the look in their eyes, the shift. She wasn't a threat now. She was an asset. I'll think about it, she said. That's fair, Turner replied. In the meantime, stay sharp, and thank you for not letting this turn into something worse. She stood, nodded politely, and left the office. As she stepped back into the hallway, the energy had changed. No more laughter. No more testing whispers. No one stood in her way now. She walked alone, but this time, not like a stranger, more like a warning, and the clip. It was still spreading. The hum of the overhead lights in detention was the only sound Jasmine could hear. No students spoke. No feet tapped, no pens clicked. It was that strange, sterile kind of quiet that made you feel like time had paused, like the world had chosen to slow down just for you. Jasmine sat in the last row, her back against the cinderblock wall, hands folded on the desk, her hoodie still up. But inside her pocket was the real reason she wasn't completely closed off. A small photograph, edges worn and soft from years of being folded and unfolded, pressed and handled, proof of where she came from, who she really was. Her fingers found the creased corners of the photo and pulled it out. It showed a tall man, broad-shouldered and proud, wearing a crisp white GI with a black belt tied firmly at the waist. His name, Sensei Malik Daniels, was embroidered in gold thread across the belt stip. He stood in front of a row of students, all younger than him, all in matching uniforms, their fists clenched in perfect form. Behind them, the banner of Daniel's Self-Defense Academy hung like a silent flag of honor. That man, her father, wasn't just a fighter. He was everything Jasmine had tried to carry with her, a protector, a teacher, a believer in peace with power. Her throat tightened as she stared at his eyes in the photo, calm, steady, the same look he gave her every time she tied her own belt before class. He used to say things no one else ever said to her, things she didn't hear in school, or from relatives, or from strangers who looked at her like she didn't belong. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, Jasmine. Just know who you are. Let that be enough. He never yelled, never raised his voice, but in the dojo, his presence was louder than any scream. And when she trained under him, when her bare feet hit the mat, when her fists struck the wooden target pads, she wasn't just a daughter, she was a warrior in training. A vessel of discipline and balance, until the car accident, until the night a drunk driver took away the man who had been both mother and father to her. The dojo closed a month later. Bills piled up. Her aunt, her father's sister, offered to take her in, and Jasmine moved 3 states away with a duffel bag, a few old medals, and that one photograph. She never talked about the night of the accident. She never answered the questions people sometimes asked, how did your dad pass? Or do you miss him? Because the answers were buried in her silence. Her grief didn't scream. It sat beside her, quietly, like a shadow with its hand on her shoulder. The door to the detention room creaked open. Snapping her back to the present. It was Mr. Cross, stepping in with a folder in one hand and his usual military straight posture. His eyes scanned the room quickly and found her. He gave a small nod to the supervisor, then motioned for her to follow. Jasmine stood, tucked the photo back into her pocket, and followed him out. They walked down the empty hallway in silence. Lockers loomed on either side like quiet sentinels. When they reached the gym, he held the door for her and led her inside. The space was empty, basketballs stacked, mats rolled up, bleachers pushed back. Do you miss it? He asked suddenly. Jasmine tilted her head. Miss what? Training, the structure, the rhythm of it. She hesitated every day. He gave a knowing smile and set the folder down on the bleacher. Then, without a word, he pulled out two floor mats and placed them side by side in the middle of the gym floor. I saw the way you moved, he said. You've had real instruction, military level, even most kids who come through here don't know the difference between MMA and movie choreography. She stepped onto the mat quietly. My father taught me, she said. Name? Sensei Malik Daniels. Mr. Cross raised his eyebrows. Daniels Self-Defense Academy? Georgia? She nodded. I heard of it, he murmured. He trained soldiers. 2. Used to consult for the Army ROTC programs. Jasmine's chest swelled with silent pride. He was everything to me, she whispered. Mr. Cross studied her, then took a stance feet shoulder width apart, one hand raised defensively. Show me. Jasmine didn't need to ask what he meant. She took her own stand slow, precise, rooted in balance, Shotokan, her father's style, the only language she truly felt fluent in. For the next few minutes, the gym echoed with the sound of movement, controlled, powerful, elegant, no music, no distractions. Just breath, muscle memory. When they paused, both panting slightly, he smiled. You've got it, he said, but you're holding back. She looked away. I promised him I wouldn't use it unless I had to, and you didn't, Mr. Cross replied. You used it when you were cornered. You didn't lose control. You did what a real martial artist is trained to do, de-escalate, then end it if you must. She didn't reply. He picked up the folder from the bleacher and held it out. Inside's a permission form. I'm running an after-school self-defense program. Voluntary. Nothing fancy. Just fundamentals, confidence, boundaries. Turner wants you to help. Jasmine took the folder but didn't open it. You think anyone would actually show up after what they saw? He chuckled. Oh, they'll come. They may be scared, but deep down, they want what you have. She thought of the bathroom, the stairs, the fear, but also the quiet admiration. I'm not a teacher, she said. No. He agreed. But you're already leading. She looked down at the folder again, then at the empty mats beneath her feet. For the first time in months, Jasmine felt something new stir in her chest. Not just pride, not just pain, but purpose. Her father may have been gone, but his teachings were still alive, burning quietly within her. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to pass the flame on. The announcement came during second period, the kind of announcement that ripples through a high school like a tidal wave, crashing into conversations, side eyes, and buzzing phones. All students are to report to the gymnasium for a mandatory assembly at 10:30 a.m. sharp. Attendance will be taken. No reason given. No hint why, but Jasmine knew. She felt it in her stomach, the way you feel a storm before you see it, low and steady, but building. She kept her head down through class. Though every whisper around her had her name stitched inside it, some students stared openly. Others avoided looking at her altogether, like proximity alone might set something off. By the time she entered the gym with the rest of the student body, the air was thick. Rows of metal folding chairs stretched across the gym floor. Teachers lined the walls. Principal Turner stood near the podium with a clipboard in hand, trying to look composed, but his brow was tight with tension. She was halfway to her seat when someone called her name, Jasmine. She turned. It was Miss Ward, the school counselor, gesturing her over with a soft but purposeful nod. Jasmine followed, uncertain. When she reached the side of the stage, Miss Ward placed a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to speak, she said gently, but if you're willing, I think they need to hear from you. Jasmine's breath caught. Speak? She hadn't prepared for this. She didn't rehearse anything. All she had was the same quiet she always carried, but maybe that was enough. A few moments later, after a stiff introduction from Principal Turner about school safety and learning from each other's experiences, he gestured toward the side of the stage. We've invited someone who recently reminded us what real strength and self-control look like. Please welcome Jasmine Daniels. The entire gym turned toward her. A few gasps, a few murmurs, mostly silence. She stepped onto the stage. No script, no speech. Just her. Jasmine walked to the microphone and looked out, not over them, at them, hundreds of students, rows of faces, some smug, some nervous, some, especially the girls, curious, even hopeful. Maddie sat near the back, arms folded, her face a frozen mask of denial. Jasmine took a breath and spoke. I didn't come here to fight. Her voice was calm, strong without being loud, like the steady sound of a drum that didn't need to beat fast to be felt. I came here to learn, like all of you. I didn't plan to be the story everyone's talking about this week, but I also didn't plan to be cornered in a bathroom. I didn't want to hurt anyone, and I still don't. A pause. The room was still, but don't mistake silence for weakness. A few heads nodded, and don't confuse kindness with fear. The air shifted. She continued. My father always taught me that real strength isn't about who can hit harder. It's about who can stay grounded when the world tries to pull you off balance. I stayed quiet when people mocked me. I stayed calm when someone pushed me. And even when I defended myself, I didn't lose control. I didn't fight to win. I fought to protect. Somewhere in the front row, a teacher's eyes glistened. Near the middle, two younger girls exchanged glances, something unspoken passing between them. Recognition, respect. I'm not a threat, Jasmine said, but I'm not afraid of one either. She let the words hang for a second before. Stepping back. No applause, not at first. Then, somewhere to her left, someone clapped. Then another and another, until the gym filled with the sound not wild or thunderous but steady, like rain on a rooftop. Jasmine looked out at them one last time, then walked off the stage. Principal Turner met her at the steps, nodding. Once, not saying a word, Miss Ward gave a brief, proud smile. As she exited the gym, she heard murmurs behind her again, but they were different now, not judgmental, not cruel, just human. That afternoon, Jasmine walked down hallway B with her earbuds in, not to shut the world out anymore, but simply because she liked the rhythm. Her shoulders were square, back straight, head high. This time, no one stepped in her path. No one whispered in corners. The space around her held something new, not fear, but recognition, respect. She passed Maddie by the lockers. For a heartbeat, their eyes met. Maddie looked away first. Jasmine didn't slow down. She didn't need revenge. She didn't need to prove herself. She already had. She passed the gym, where a small flyer had been pinned to the door. Self-defense sessions start Monday, led by Mr. Cross and Jasmine Daniels. All are welcome. Didn't stop to read it. She didn't need to. She'd already decided she would show up, because her father's lessons weren't just for her anymore, and Lincoln High. It would never see quiet the same way again.